everything, but it does create a little bit of a secure space for them to sometimes reorganize things in their life. So I think for many of our students, again, back to the point, it's not for every student. Some students we would have at the intake and we tell them about the program and they're like, no, I think I'm going to be fine at my own school, which is great because we're not meant for every LGBT student. So in the last 4 or 5 years, although it does go back before that, we began to meet students later in their high school career, so maybe about grade 11, grade 12, and we were able to offer them the credits they needed to get to their 30 credits. So we started to see graduates, some of whom pursued post-secondary, some were heading out into, wanting to work for a while. Last year we graduated approximately 5 or 6 of our students, and a couple of them got scholarships to local universities, so pursued college and pursued university as well. Like just in terms of program outreach, so I think the website that we produced a few years ago has been one of the tools. That's more the kind of the digital age and a lot of kids online with stuff. They find out that way. Actually, it's through word of mouth. Right? One student goes there, and if they're part of, say, some of the youth community networks, like there's a K school, tell someone else, they'll tell 2 friends, and stuff like that. I also get referrals from my social work colleagues, so every school in the TDSB has a school social worker attached to it, so I'm part of the social work team, so the information goes up that way. I also mail out information when it's around Triangle, the counseling work that I do, the workshops as well. So it's consistently doing outreach. To say what it's about. And the first thing we want to do, particularly around Triangle, is that a student will call and say, I want to know more about the program. So let's meet at Triangle and let's see if this is the place for you. About 90% of those we meet will start with us. Students can start throughout the school year for the most part, so we don't have, I don't know, this high school year, is it semestered or full year?
Semester.
So students start in September, or maybe students start in February. We'll start students actually almost every 4 weeks if we've got the space for it. So students will start at different times, and some students will move on. Maybe the program isn't right for them. So students will often try. We do a probation period, like 6 weeks. Let's see if it works for you, and then we'll take it from there. But there will always be at least a few students throughout the year that will kind of meet with us, and they'll figure, not for me. We're part of the TDSB, so all the staffing, so I'm a school board staff person. Our 3 teachers are TDSB teachers. So in terms of kind of other funding, we do lots of fundraising in the community. So that helps provide for a nutrition program. So we provide lunch every day free of charge. We have volunteer cooks who provide the food and then we reimburse them. We have volunteer tutors who work one-on-one with the students. These are often folks who want to maybe go to teachers college. Maybe they're LGBT themselves, had a tough time in school, want to give back a little bit. But we do a lot of fundraising. The church, Metropolitan Community Church of Toronto, as part of their fundraising, we often receive some of that as well. Lots of field trips are built in, so the idea is around a lot of networking with our own community here in Toronto. So if it's tied into one of the curriculum units, so there's often field trips to the Royal Ontario Museum, to the Art Gallery, to the Lesbian and Gay Archives Center here in the city to look at history. Yeah, there's lots of, as many opportunities that are possible to get students out of the classroom and into the community, which is both the community and also the city at large. Organized the Pride Prom, which is the board-wide, have you heard of it?
We went last year.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So yeah, the Pride Prom has been our End of school year dance. So that's another, I don't want to call it a field trip, but it's one of the events, especially one of the official events of Pride Week. Space to kind of be yourself where, you know, a girl's going to dance with her girlfriend or a boy's going to dance with his boyfriend, and people just are. And it should be everywhere. Just got a chance to start doing workshops in high schools. Right? It's like, hi kids, I'm Kate, do you have any questions? Like, oh my gosh, how does that work? And doing some of the support. So I did a placement for actually 2 years when I was studying social work at the BSW and the MSW level. And just, I loved the classroom work. I loved sort of getting out there and challenging homophobia. And then the Triangle program opened up a few years after that, so 95. So now there was a whole school program to provide social work support to. So how I ended up is really kind of an accidental social worker. I didn't grow up thinking, oh, I'd be a social worker. Like, who does? Maybe some people do. I don't know. Right? It's like, I didn't know what social workers were. But just, you know, as I found myself into my social work studies, and then it seemed to work really well with youth, at least based on the feedback so far. Just really enjoyed both the individual counseling and group work, right, getting to know people and trying to work through some problems or issues and stuff like that. And then, yeah, the workshops on homophobia and the Triangle program, it's a lot of variety for me, so I get to do individual work, and I also get to do out in the school system and challenge issues around homophobia and heterosexism. So, yeah, I always think I'm a bit of an accidental social worker. I think it interrupts stuff for a moment. I don't have any grand ideas that I walk in and go, haha, it's today homophobia, and I'll move on to my next school. I might have once thought that for 10 minutes, 14 years ago, and then, but I think it really speaks to the need to do ongoing work. So the workshops are one piece of it, and then our teachers and school staff need to continue it. They need to be challenging the homophobia in the hallways. They have to call people on that's so gay or fag and dyke. Really, sometimes it's like that. For a lot of the students across our school boards, I get to work in all the quadrants here. They've heard of gay people, but they've actually met someone, but they never really met someone who said they were gay or lesbian. So I often work with social work students. So I've got a team of presenters with different sort of representations and bodies and such like that. So for many students, they're like, you're gay, right? You're lesbian? How did you know? And so really there's a whole Q&A to the workshops. So that, I think that, at least for a moment, begins to challenge some of the misconceptions, right? Questions like, were you born that way? Did you choose it? We do lots of activities around that to look at name calling and stereotypes. So I think for a moment in those workshops, if I want to frame it that way, for a moment, we're there to actually speak back to some of this stuff. It's like, okay, wait a second, where'd you get that idea from? Where's that coming from? Is it from media, from religion, from family, from wherever? So yeah, like I think I indicated earlier, I did about 150 classes last year. That really only represents about, it's less than 10% of our schools. Like the Toronto Board has 550 schools. Right? It's huge. It's the largest in Canada, one of the largest in North America. But I think these workshops, as part of a bigger project around discrimination and harassment, is ongoing work, day in and day out. So if all schools had curriculum that reflected students in all of their ways, I think that would move us forward as well.